Hey guys, tonight we go back to the year 1096, when Europe's skies were heavy with prayers and swords, and men spoke of salvation in blood. You are one of them now, a pilgrim turned warrior, trudging down muddy roads toward a land you've never seen, but have been told is worth your soul. The air smells of wood smoke and sweat, of damp wool and iron. Bells toll in distant villages as you march, their echoes mingling with chants in Latin, half mumbled by men whose lips are cracked from cold. You wear not silk but rough cloth, patched and torn. Your boots rub sores raw. Your shoulders ache beneath the weight of shield and pack. The cross sewn crudely to your tunic itches, but you clutch it as a badge of promise. Remission of sins, eternal life, God's reward. That's what Pope Urban promised back in Clermont, when he called the faithful to arms. You remember the crowd? The fire in their eyes, the cries of Deus Vult, God wills it. You joined, swept by a tide you could not resist, and now here you are, far from home, shivering under a foreign sky. The road is long. Armies swell from villages and towns, peasants with pitchforks, knights in mail, priests carrying relics, children trailing behind wagons. Some march with discipline, banners raised. Others stagger in ragged bands, hungry already, lost already. The rumors spread fast. There are thousands of you, tens of thousands, moving like a flood across Christendom. The Turks in the east laugh at first. They call you rabble. They won't laugh for long. Still, the hunger is real. You chew stale bread until your teeth ache. You drink water from ditches. You share lice with your brothers in arms. Some desert, some die on the road. Disease eats at the weakest. But the fire never fades. Every sermon reminds you, you march not for land, not for gold, but for the city of Jerusalem itself, the place where Christ walked, where he was crucified, where he rose. The priests tell you this road is not dirt, but holy, every step washing your sins away. You believe, because belief is all you have. The world changes as you march south and east. You leave behind the green fields of France, the river valleys of Germany, the castles of Burgundy. You pass through Hungary, through hostile villages that slam their gates as you arrive. You barter, you beg, you steal. Sometimes the people fight back, and fields run red, not with Turks' blood, but with Christian blood. The irony is bitter, but the march does not stop. At night, you lie by fires, staring at stars unfamiliar, listening to men whisper about what lies ahead. Some speak of cities of marble, rivers of honey, gold piled high in mosques. Others speak of enemies, the Turks, swift horsemen, merciless and cunning. You sharpen your blade in the firelight, wondering if your arm will be strong enough when the time comes. You fall asleep on hard ground, waking with frost on your beard, your dreams heavy with visions of crosses and swords. When you reach Constantinople, your eyes widen. The city is unlike anything you have ever seen. Walls taller than cathedrals, domes gleaming with gold, markets brimming with spices and silks. The Byzantines look at you with suspicion, their robes clean, their voices smooth, their soldiers disciplined. They call you barbarians, yet they need you. Emperor Alexios receives you warily, offering guides, supplies, oaths of loyalty. You kneel, swearing to return conquered lands to him, though in your heart you wonder if you will keep that promise. From Constantinople, you cross into Asia. The land is harsh, the sun hotter, the food scarcer. You march through Anatolia, across plains cracked with drought, through mountains where bandits lurk, hunger gnaws. You eat roots, leather, even rats. Men die by the roadside, their bodies left for vultures. The Turks strike often. Swift raids on horseback, arrows whistling out of nowhere. You chase them, but they vanish into the hills. Your ranks thin, but your faith hardens. At night, priests lift relics high, splinters of the true cross, bones of saints. They remind you why you came, why you bleed, why you endure. Men kneel in the dust, kissing the relics, their tears mixing with sweat. You kneel too, your lips trembling as you whisper prayers you barely understand. Still, the words bind you to something greater, something eternal. The march has only begun, but already you feel the weight of it. You are far from home, farther than you ever dreamed, and still Jerusalem lies hundreds of miles away. Yet the vision of the city burns in your mind. You imagine its walls gleaming in the sun, its holy places waiting for your footsteps. You imagine the moment when you will kneel at the sepulchre, your sins washed away forever. That vision drives you forward, through hunger, through pain, through fear. You march because God wills it. You march because there is no turning back. You march toward a city you have never seen, a city that will soon drown in blood. The road east stretches endlessly, winding through harsh lands, where the air itself seems to resist you. You march with thousands, yet it feels at times as though you walk alone, each step heavier than the last. The songs that once rose from the army fade now into silence. Men conserve their breath, saving their strength for the next hill, the next fight, the next desperate scramble for food. Anatolia greets you not with welcome, but with hostility. The land is dry, the village is sparse, and the people look at you with suspicion or outright hatred. They slam their gates when they see the banners of the cross. Their wells are guarded, their fields stripped bare. Hunger begins to gnaw. At first you laugh, sharing stale bread and dried meat, telling stories to distract your stomach, but soon the laughter fades. The bread is gone, the meat is gone, and the stories taste like dust. Your boots grind against sharp stone paths, and the sun beats down mercilessly. Sweat pours into your eyes, blinding you, your tongue swollen with thirst. Water becomes more precious than gold. Some men fight over it, their voices hoarse, their fists flying. Others collapse where they stand, lips cracked, skin pale, their lives drained out by the heat. You step past bodies, men you marched beside only yesterday, now food for crows. The Turks strike often, and always from nowhere. You see only a flicker of movement on the horizon, and then arrows hiss through the air. Men scream, shields rattle, horses rear in panic. The Turks never close, never fight fair. They gallop in, loose their shafts, and vanish before you can lift your sword. You curse them, chasing shadows across the plains. But you always return empty-handed, your quiver lighter, your heart heavier. Some nights, you make camp in ruins, burned-out villages, where walls crumble and roofs gape open to the sky. The air smells of old ash and death. The priests gather you for prayer, their voices lifting in Latin hymns. They raise the cross high, reminding you why you bleed, why you endure. God tests us, they say, but God will deliver us. You kneel in the dust, your knees aching, whispering prayers through cracked lips. You cling to the words because without them there is nothing left. The journey is not only blood and hunger, there are small mercies. A spring bubbling in a hollow, its water cool and sweet. Men diving in as if it were wine. A friendly village that sells bread and figs, enough to fill your belly for a night. A comrade's hand gripping yours when you stumble, pulling you to your feet. These moments keep you alive, though they vanish as quickly as they come. The army itself is a strange beast. Knights march beside peasants, lords beside beggars. Some wear armor polished to a shine, their banners bright in the sun. Others are barefoot, clothed in rags, their skin burnt and peeling, yet all bear the same cross, stitched to tunics, carved into shields, burned into skin. You look around and see not an army of kingdoms, but an army of faith, or perhaps of desperation. Still, cracks appear, discipline falters, some lords quarrel, their voices sharp, their hands close to their sword hilts. Some men desert, slipping away in the night, their footprints leading into wilderness. Others mutter of turning back, of abandoning this mad quest, but the priests thunder in reply, their sermons burning hotter than the sun. Turn back and you lose not only your soul, but your honor, they cry. Jerusalem waits for the faithful, and so the march continues. The land itself seems to mock you. Dust storms whip across the plains, stinging your eyes, choking your lungs. Mountains loom, their paths steep and treacherous, your legs burning as you climb. Wolves circle at night, their howls echoing, their eyes glinting in firelight. You grip your sword as you try to sleep, your body trembling with exhaustion, your dreams filled with shadows and teeth. Yet through it all, the vision of Jerusalem burns in your mind. Priests describe it in sermons, its walls shining in the sun, its churches holy beyond measure, its streets kissed by Christ's own feet. You imagine kneeling in the holy sepulchre, your sins washed away, your soul lifted into grace. That dream drives you forward, step after step, even when your stomach knots with hunger and your throat cracks with thirst. And so you march on, through dust and blood, through thirst and fear. Each day feels longer than the last, each night darker, but still you move eastward, always eastward, toward a city you have never seen, but already feels more real than the home you left behind. The journey has stripped you of comfort, of ease, of certainty, but it has left you with faith, or perhaps only with stubbornness. Either way, you walk, your cross heavy on your chest, your sword heavier in your hand, your heart beating a single word, Jerusalem. The year turns to 1098, and your feet have carried you farther than you ever thought possible. You are thinner now, your muscles stringy, your face gaunt. Hunger has carved lines into you deeper than any blade could. Yet, you march still, and before you rises the city of Antioch. Its walls shimmer in the sunlight, massive, impenetrable, a fortress of stone perched on the Orontes River. To reach Jerusalem, you must first break Antioch. The city towers mock you with their sheer size. 7 miles of walls bristling with towers, thick gates barred and reinforced. Inside, the garrison is strong, supplied with food, defended by Turks and Armenians loyal to the Sultan. For a moment, despair ripples through the camp. How can you, ragged and starving, conquer a citadel that even emperors feared? But then you remember, God wills it. That phrase has carried you across mountains and deserts. It must carry you here too. The siege begins. You build camp outside the walls, digging ditches, driving stakes, setting up makeshift huts of canvas and wood. The summer sun beats down, baking the ground until it cracks. Flies swarm. Food runs scarce again. Every grain of barley, every scrap of meat, every drop of wine is rationed. You chew on grass and roots, your belly cramping. Some men eat their horses, though the thought of losing them terrifies you. A night without a horse is half a night. Arrows rain from the towers whenever you approach. The defenders jeer, their laughter carrying down like poison. Sometimes they hurl severed heads from the walls, trophies of earlier skirmishes. The sound of them striking the ground makes your skin crawl. You curse them, you raise your cross high, but the walls remain unmoved. Winter comes, cruel and merciless. Snow falls, the wind cuts like knives. Your breath turns to frost as you huddle in rags, your body shaking with cold. Hunger grows savage. Men collapse in the snow, too weak to rise. The smell of rot clings to the camp. Corpses unburied, sickness spreading. Desperation whispers dark thoughts. You hear rumors of men eating leather, rats. Even worse, you do not ask too closely. Better not to know. Still, you endure. Every morning, priests raise relics high, their voices trembling with hymns. They tell you Antioch will fall, because God wills it. You force yourself to believe. Skirmishes rage outside the walls. You charge in bursts, shields raised, spears thrust forward. The Turks ride out, swift and deadly, their arrows whistling. Many of your brothers fall, their bodies trampled into mud. But slowly you tighten the noose. Supplies cannot enter. The city begins to suffer too. Months drag on. Disease gnaws at both sides. You wonder if the siege will kill you before the enemy does. Then, salvation in the form of betrayal. A tower guard, a Christian within Antioch, sends word. He will open the gates. The news spreads through camp like fire, filling men with new strength. On a moonless night, you march silently toward the walls. Hearts hammer, swords gleam faintly in starlight. At the signal, the gate creaks open. You pour inside. Chaos erupts. The streets of Antioch fill with blood, your sword flashing in torchlight. The defenders fight fiercely, but shock and betrayal break them. You cut down men in narrow alleys, your boots slipping on cobblestones wet with blood. The cries echo, shouts in Turkish, in Greek, in Latin. Fire leaps from roof to roof. Antioch is falling. You reach the citadel, the last stronghold, but its gates are shut. The garrison within holds out, even as the city below is consumed. You are too weary to storm it. Instead, you collapse where you stand, your chest heaving, your eyes burning. Antioch lies in your hands, though at terrible cost. But victory brings no rest. A relief army arrives. Thousands of Turks descending on the city like a storm. You are trapped inside, half dead with hunger. Too few to hold the walls. Panic surges. Men whisper of abandoning the siege, of fleeing into the night. But then a miracle, or so the priests say. A vision, the holy lance, the spear that pierced Christ's side, buried beneath a church. Men dig feverishly, and when at last a spearhead is unearthed, hope surges like fire. The relic is raised, gleaming in torchlight. Priests declare it proof of divine favor. Soldiers who could barely stand grasp their swords again. You march out to face the Turks, the lance carried before you. The enemy is vast, but your hearts blaze. You fight with desperate fury, your cries of Deus Vult drowning the clash of steel. Against all odds, the Turks are broken. The relief army scatters, leaving Antioch in your hands for good. The cost is staggering, tens of thousands dead, your army reduced to a shadow of what it was. But you stand among the ruins, blood on your sword, and you know the road to Jerusalem is open now. And you whisper to yourself, your voice hoarse but fierce, "We are coming." The dust of Antioch clings to your boots, long after you've left its shattered walls behind. You carry its memory too. The hunger, the corpses in the snow, the miracle of the Holy Lance. It gnaws at you at night, when you close your eyes and still hear the cries of men cut down in the streets, still see flames licking through windows, still smell iron and smoke. But the road calls, and every step eastward brings you closer to the vision burned into your soul, Jerusalem. The march south is no gentle pilgrimage. The land is harsh, parched by the summer sun. The horizon shimmers with heat, your mouth dry as dust, your skin cracked. Wells are scarce, and when you find them, the water tastes bitter, often poisoned by defenders who fled before you arrived. Hunger stalks you as it did in Anatolia. Bread is rare, meat rarer. You chew roots, wild herbs, whatever your hands can find. At night, your belly gnaws itself hollow. The army is thinner now. Those who survived Antioch are hardened, scarred. Many comrades you knew at the start are gone, buried in foreign soil or left to rot where they fell. And yet, new men join, pilgrims, adventurers, mercenaries. They come because they have heard the stories. Antioch taken against impossible odds. The Holy Lance guiding the faithful. You feel the weight of their belief pressing against your back. You cannot falter now. The Turks and Fatimid patrols harry you as you march. Arrows hiss from ridges, riders vanish like ghosts into the hills. Sometimes they leave villages burning before you arrive, the smell of charred timber and flesh greeting you as a warning. You push onward, your sword always close, your nerves tight as bowstrings. And then, Jerusalem. The first sight comes suddenly, at dawn. The army crests a ridge, and there, on the horizon, it rises. A city of stone, its walls gleaming pale in the early sun, its towers sharp against the sky. The dome of the rock gleams golden, a beacon above the rooftops. For a heartbeat, silence falls across the camp. No jeers, no shouts, no clatter of arms, only breath held tight in thousands of chests. You stare, your heart pounding. For years you have marched, bled, hungered, prayed. Now the city lies before you, no longer a dream, but stone and mortar. The sight stings your eyes with tears you did not expect. You whisper a prayer, your voice trembling. Deus Vult. The city is not vast, but its defences are formidable. Great walls ring it, thick and tall, bristling with towers. The Fatimid garrison within watches from the battlements, their banners snapping in the wind. You see glints of sunlight on spearheads, hear the faint clang of hammers as they prepare. They know you are here. They have been waiting. The army surges with energy. Men drop to their knees, kissing the soil, their voices rising in hymns. Priests lift crosses high, chanting in Latin. their faces shining with sweat and tears. Some soldiers strip barefooted, marching in solemn procession toward the city's walls, singing psalms. Their voices carry over the plain, a haunting sound that echoes against the stone. But devotion alone will not breach those walls. You pitch camp outside, driving stakes, digging ditches, erecting tents in the shadow of towers that seem to sneer at your efforts. Scouts report the garrison is well provisioned, their cisterns full. You, by contrast, are already running dry. The summer heat is merciless. Water skins empty quickly and men drink from foul puddles, retching afterward. Disease creeps into camp again, silent and ruthless. Still the fire in your heart burns. At night, you kneel with thousands, staring at the city lights, whispering prayers. You imagine Christ walking those streets, touching those stones. You imagine kneeling at the sepulchre, your sins washed away. The dream is so close now you can taste it. The siege begins, but it will not be easy. Arrows whistle from the battlements as you approach. Stones crash down, smashing skulls, shattering shields. Ladders splinter beneath weight. Men falling, screaming. You curse, you cry out, but the walls remain untouched. Jerusalem laughs at your first assault. You retreat to camp, licking wounds, but you do not despair. You cannot despair. You tell yourself the walls may be high, but God's will is higher, and so you sharpen your sword, tighten your belt, and wait for the next call. Jerusalem is before you now, gleaming in the sun, daring you to try again. You wake to the sound of hammers ringing across the camp. The first assault has failed, the ladders burned, the men dashed against stone, but no one speaks of retreat. Not now, not when the city of God stands so close. Instead, you turn to work. The walls of Jerusalem loom above, pale stone against the burning blue sky. They stretch high, lined with towers from which the Fatimid defenders peer down, their bows ready, their oil pots prepared. Every time you glance at them, you see movement, shadows pacing, shields glinting. Watchful eyes, they taunt you, hurling curses, sometimes tossing severed heads from past skirmishes. Each insult burns hotter than the sun. The Crusader camp is a hive of desperation. You are told to gather wood, but the land around Jerusalem is barren. Trees are scarce, cut down long ago by defenders who knew you would come. You march miles to find anything. Thorn bushes, scrubby oaks, beams from ruined villages. You drag them back on aching shoulders, sweat soaking your tunic. Every step a curse against the blazing July heat. Carpenters work without rest. Siege towers rise slowly, their skeletons of wood creaking, covered with hides soaked in water to resist fire. Catapults take shape, their ropes wound tight, their throwing arms ready. Rams are built from logs so scarce you wonder if there will be enough to finish. You hear arguments among the leaders, whether to attack the northern wall by St. Stephen's Gate, or to try the western ramparts. At last it is decided, attack from two sides at once, stretch the defenders thin. Meanwhile, thirst stalks the camp, the cisterns are nearly dry, and the heat is merciless. Men drink from stagnant puddles, the water green and foul. Others crack open animal skins, licking them for moisture. Some collapse in the dust, lips cracked, tongues swollen. Priests tell you this is penance, that suffering purifies the soul. You want to believe them, but when your throat burns like fire, belief feels thin. Disease creeps in, wounds fester, flies swarm, bellies cramp. The stench of death rises from the camp. As bodies are buried shallow in the heat, you gag as you pass the graves, the smell clinging to your nostrils, your clothes, your dreams. Still, you endure, because you must. You have come too far to turn back. The priests lead processions barefoot around the walls, chanting psalms, raising relics. Men fall to their knees, weeping, their hands lifted to heaven. They circle the city in solemn lines, dust rising from their bare feet, their voices hoarse with prayer. The defenders jeer from the ramparts, mocking your faith, laughing at your hunger. But you feel the fire inside grow hotter. If the walls mock you, then the walls will burn. The siege towers inch closer each day, hauled by ropes, pushed by groaning men. The defenders rain arrows and stones, but the towers crawl forward, relentless. Catapults hurl rocks that crash against the battlements, shaking stone, shattering merlons. Rams thud against gates, though their wood splinters under boiling oil. Every clash feels like thunder in your skull, every scream a nail in your chest. At night the camp is restless. Fires burn low, men whisper prayers, or mutter curses. You lie awake, staring at the faint glow of the city beyond the walls. So close, so impossibly close. You imagine what waits inside, the sepulchre, the Mount of Olives, the very soil where Christ walked. You imagine falling to your knees within its gates, your sins washed clean in holy blood. But the city does not yield. The defenders fight with courage, their arrows never ceasing, their walls never cracking. You feel the weight of doubt press on your chest. Can stone and iron resist God's will? Or is this another test, harsher than Antioch, sharper than Anatolia? Still, you rise each morning. Still, you march to the towers, to the catapults, to the rams. Still, you shoulder beams of wood, your muscles burning, your skin blistering. Still, you whisper prayers through cracked lips, your voice hoarse but steady, because Jerusalem waits, and you will not leave until its gates are broken. The sun beats mercilessly as you stumble to the walls again. Shield on your arm, sweat dripping from your brow. The siege towers stand ready now, looming structures of wood, hide, and rope, hauled forward by groaning men. The rams creak, their heads bound in iron, their ropes taut. Every soldier grips his sword tighter, his mouth dry, his prayers mumbled beneath his breath. Today, you will strike again. The signal is given. Horns blare, drums beat, and the towers crawl forward, dragged across uneven ground. You push, shoulder-pressed timber, your boots slipping in dust. Arrows rain down from above, their hiss like angry bees. Shields rise, men cry out, bodies collapse. The hides soaked in water protect some, but fire arrows streak the sky, embedding in wood, sparking despite the damp. Buckets are hurled up. Men scramble to beat out flames with cloaks. Still the towers inch closer. At the walls, ladders rise. Thin wood creaks under the weight of armored men. But they climb anyway, their faces grim, their eyes fixed on the battlements. You follow, your hand slick on the rung, your heart hammering. Above, defenders lean out, their eyes sharp with hate. Stones crash down, splintering ladders, snapping spines, boiling oil pours, searing flesh, the screams piercing. Arrows strike, men tumble backward, their bodies breaking on the ground below. You reach halfway, your arms burning, when the ladder lurches. You cling desperately, your stomach dropping. The men above you cry out as the ladder shatters, their bodies flung like ragdolls. You slam to the earth, the air torn from your lungs. Dust fills your mouth, the world spins. You push up, ears ringing, as the assault collapses around you. Everywhere, chaos. Men scream, shields splinter. Fire roars. The towers grind forward, but too slowly. Arrows hammer them. Stones shatter against them. The defenders fight with relentless fury, their cries echoing, "Jerusalem will not fall." You see comrades fall beside you, their eyes wide, their mouths bloody. You stagger forward, anyway, lifting a ladder, shoving it against the wall. You climb again, breath ragged, sword clenched. At the top, a defender swings down, his blade flashing. You raise your shield, the impact rattling your bones. You thrust upward, bronze meeting flesh, and the man crumples. But another takes his place, and another. The battlements swarm with enemies, their eyes fierce, their arms tireless. You strike, you shove, you cling. But for every inch you gain, they push you back. The towers reach the walls at last. Bridges slam down with a crash, men pouring across. For a heartbeat you feel hope blaze. But the defenders surge to meet them, their spears bristling, their shields unbroken. The clash is brutal, a storm of steel and fire. Men fall from bridges, screaming as they tumble into the dust. Flames lick up the sides of towers, smoke choking, heat blistering. The ram thuds against the gate, again and again, the sound echoing like thunder. Splinters fly, dust bursts from cracks, but the gate holds. Boiling water pours down, drenching the men below. Their screams fill the air, their skin sloughing. Still, they hammer. Still, they strike, but the gate remains. Hours drag like days. The sun blazes overhead. The dust blinds you. The noise deafens you. Every muscle aches. Every breath burns. You fight with everything you have. Yet the walls stand. At last, horns sound retreat. The ladders fall. The towers withdraw. The ram rolls back. You stumble away, your chest heaving, your sword heavy as stone. Behind you, the defenders cheer, their voices sharp with triumph. You collapse in the camp, your body trembling, your skin blistered, your ears ringing with defeat. Around you, men weep, some curse, some pray. The towers lie blackened, the ladders shattered, the dead sprawled in heaps. The city still stands, its walls unbroken, its gates closed. The first great assault has failed. Jerusalem remains untaken. You stare at the walls, your vision blurred with sweat and tears. For the first time, doubt claws at your heart. Perhaps the city cannot fall. Perhaps the journey was for nothing. But then the priests stride among you, their voices sharp, their relics lifted high. Do not despair, they cry. God tests us, but God will grant us victory. You whisper the words with them. Though your voice shakes, you must believe. You have nothing else. And so, with your body broken, your spirit wavering, you rise again. The city still waits, and you cannot leave until it is yours. The camp is restless, beaten but not broken. After the failed assault, silence hangs heavy at night, broken only by groans of the wounded and the crackle of campfires burning too low. You sit with your back to a wagon, your armor dented, your arms streaked with grime and blood, not all your own. The walls of Jerusalem still rise in the distance, unbroken, mocking. You can almost feel the defenders' laughter carried down on the wind. But the leaders are not ready to abandon the siege. Instead, they demand more wood, more towers, more engines. And so you work. The land around Jerusalem is stripped bare. Hills once green are now scarred, dotted with the stumps of every tree within miles. Even thorn bushes are hacked apart, bundled onto wagons, hauled back to camp. Men pry beams from old villages, tear planks from abandoned houses, cut apart wagons to fuel the siege. Your shoulders ache from carrying timber, your palms blister from rope burns. Every step feels heavier, every load harder, but you know it must be done. Carpenters hammer day and night. The rhythm of iron on wood is relentless, echoing across camp like a drumbeat of determination. Siege towers rise again, taller this time, broader, stronger. Rams are reinforced, catapults rebuilt. The hides that cover them are soaked in water, dragged dripping through camp, reeking of rot but promising some protection from fire. Priests walk among you, blessing the work, sprinkling holy water, chanting psalms. They remind you why you suffer, why you sweat and bleed. Jerusalem is not just another city, it is the city. To fail here is to fail heaven itself. You whisper prayers under your breath, not always sure if you are heard, but clinging to hope like a drowning man to driftwood. The defenders do not rest. From the walls, they rain down arrows at every approach. Stones crash against shields, breaking arms and backs. They build new barricades behind gates, repair damage under the cover of night. They shout insults, calling you dogs, barbarians, invaders. They lift their banners high, defiant, their faith as fierce as yours. You realize with a chill that both sides fight for God, and only one will stand. The heat grows unbearable. July blazes with merciless fury. The ground cracks beneath your feet. The air shimmers with dust. Your tongue sticks to your teeth. Water is scarce again. Wells are guarded like treasure, and fights break out among your own men for a sip. You see comrades collapse, their lips black, their eyes staring. The priests thunder that thirst is holy penance, that to suffer is to be cleansed. You nod, you whisper Deus Vult, but your stomach twists with doubt. Disease creeps in, wounds fester, flies swarm, bellies churn with fever. The stench of death rises anew, heavy, choking. Some nights, the pyres of the dead burn almost as bright as the torches of the camp. You lie awake, staring at smoke drifting into the stars, wondering if heaven notices the smell. Yet in the midst of suffering, a fever of faith grows. One evening, barefoot priests lead a procession around the city walls. Thousands join, discarding armor, stripping their feet bare to the dust. You walk among them, your souls bleeding, your throat chanting psalms until it cracks. The column winds around Jerusalem, a human river of desperation and devotion. The defenders jeer from the walls, hurling stones and insults. You do not answer. You sing louder, your voice trembling, tears streaming down your face. Some collapse from exhaustion, but the line marches on, circling the holy city as if binding it in chains of prayer. When the procession ends, you fall to your knees, pressing your forehead to the dirt. The priests declare the moment divine, a sign that God will grant you victory. You want to believe them. You need to believe them. The next assault is coming, and without faith, you will not survive it. The towers are nearly ready. The rams are bound in iron, the catapults tested. The leaders whisper of plans, of coordinated strikes, of fire and fury to break the walls at last. You sharpen your sword again, your hands trembling, your breath shallow. You have tasted defeat, and you know what it means. But you also know that you cannot turn back. Jerusalem gleams under the sun, its walls unbroken, its towers proud. You stare at them through the haze of dust and heat, your fists clenched, your lips whispering prayers. The next assault will decide everything. The days crawl by under the July sun, each one hotter than the last. The ground cracks beneath your feet, the air shimmers, and every breath feels like fire. The camp groans with thirst. Men collapse in the dust, their lips black, their eyes glassy, horses whinny weakly, ribs showing, their tongues lolling. The cisterns are nearly dry, the skins nearly empty. You stumble from one task to another, hauling water when you can find it, pushing timbers for siege engines when you cannot. Your throat burns constantly, every swallow like sandpaper. Sometimes you dream of rivers, of wells brimming with cool water, only to wake with your tongue swollen and your lips cracked. Men fight over drops, blades drawn for a skin of foul water scooped from a ditch. The leaders know the army is near breaking. Priests thunder that thirst is a test from God, that your suffering mirrors Christ's on the cross. They tell you the holy city is within reach, and that every dry mouth, every fevered brow is one more offering to heaven. You whisper Deus Vult with the others, though in truth you feel only hollow. Disease spreads through camp, wounds fester, bellies cramp, fevers rise, flies swarm over the sick and the dead alike. The stench of rot clings to everything, your clothes, your hands, even the wind. Shallow graves are dug, but the ground is so hard, the soil so dry, that bodies often lie half-covered, vultures circling above. Still, the work continues. The towers grow taller, their hides blackened by fire arrows, but still standing. Rams are bound tighter with iron, their heads shaped like beasts of bronze. Catapults hurl rocks with bone-shaking force, smashing parapets, cracking stone. Every crash brings a cheer from the camp, though the walls still stand, stubborn, unbroken. The defenders fight with their own desperation. From the ramparts, they pour boiling oil, roll stones, rain arrows that whistle like angry bees. They shout curses, mocking you as you suffer below. Sometimes they display relics of their own, raising banners of Islam, calling on their God with the same fervor you call on yours. You feel a pang as you realize they believe as fiercely as you. Both sides fight for God, and only one can stand. The heat deepens. Men lick sweat from their armor, drink blood from slaughtered animals, anything to ease the burning in their throats. Stories spread of visions, saints appearing in the night, angels promising water and victory. You cannot tell if these are miracles or madness born of fever and thirst. Still, they ignite the army with new fire. One day the priests order a barefoot procession around the city. You join, stripping off your boots, the ground searing your souls. Thousands march with you, singing psalms, their voices hoarse but rising as one. The column circles the walls, dust rising, sweat dripping, tears falling. You stumble, your feet bleeding, your body weak, but you march still. The defenders jeer, hurling stones, pouring insults, laughing at your piety. You do not answer. You keep singing, louder, fiercer, until your voice cracks. When the march ends, you collapse in the dust, pressing your forehead to the ground. The priests raise the cross high, declaring that God has seen your devotion, that victory is certain. The men cheer, some weeping, their faces lit with a desperate hope. You whisper prayers too, your lips trembling. You want to believe. You need to believe. The towers are nearly finished now. The rams wait. The catapults groan. The ladders stand ready. The leaders plan the assault with grim precision. A strike from the north, another from the west, both at once, both with fire and fury. The city still gleams in the heat, its walls defiant, its towers sharp against the sky. You stare at them through the shimmering haze, your hands trembling on your sword. The next battle will not be another attempt. It will be the final storm, and you whisper through cracked lips, your throat raw, your soul burning. Jerusalem will fall. The day dawns blazing. Even in early morning the air feels heavy, like the sky itself presses down upon your shoulders. You rise with the others, your body sore, your lips cracked, your eyes stinging from smoke and lack of sleep. The priests move among you, lifting relics, chanting psalms, their voices quaver but carry, calling down heaven's favor. You cross yourself, whispering prayers, gripping your sword tighter than ever. Today the towers move. The great wooden beasts creak as ropes strain, wheels groan. Men heave and push. The hides soaked in filth and water stink in the heat, but they shield against fire. Archers climb into the towers, shields braced, arrows knocked. Below the rams sway, their iron heads snarling like beasts, ready to strike. Catapults hurl stones, each impact booming like thunder against the walls. Dust rises, men cheer, horns blare. You are part of the northern assault. The tower before you lurches forward, its wheels biting into hard earth. Arrows hiss from above, striking shields, biting into flesh. Men collapse, clutching their throats, their bellies, their eyes. Still the tower crawls forward, dragged by sweat and blood. Defenders pour oil, fling firebrands, but men climb the sides with buckets, dousing flame, screaming as sparks burn skin. The noise is deafening. The ram pounds against the gate, each strike shaking the ground, rattling your bones. Thud, thud, thud. Splinters fly, dust bursts, but the gate holds stubbornly. You feel your teeth grind as you shout with the others, urging it on. The walls must fall. The tower slams against the wall at last. The bridge crashes down with a roar, and men surge across. You charge after them, shield raised, sword ready. Arrows whistle past your ears, striking wood, striking flesh. You stumble onto the battlement, your boots slipping on blood. A defender swings at you, his scimitar flashing. You parry desperately, the clash ringing in your skull. You thrust forward, bronze tearing cloth, flesh, bone. He falls, and you stumble over him, gasping, your heart hammering. The wall is chaos. Men clash in tight quarters, shields bashing, blades biting. Smoke curls from firepots hurled by defenders, choking, blinding. The screams are endless. Cries of pain, cries of fury, cries of prayer. You fight without thought. Every movement survival. Shield up, sword down, shove, thrust, scream. Blood spatters your face, your arms ache, your breath tears your lungs. Still you strike. On the western wall, horns blare louder. Another tower has reached its mark. You glance across the city, through the smoke, and see banners rising. The defenders waver, their lines breaking. The ram at St. Stephen's Gate smashes through at last, the wood shattering, the gate bursting inward. A cheer erupts, rolling like thunder through your ranks. The city is breached. The defenders falter. Some flee deeper into the city, their shouts fading. Others drop their weapons, their hands raised, their faces pale with terror. Few are spared. The rage of 10 years, of hunger and thirst, of comrades lost, crashes down. You cut, and cut again, your arm moving like it belongs to someone else. The wall is no longer defense. It is slaughter. You push forward, down, into the streets. The city is chaos, smoke rising from fires, people screaming, soldiers clashing, women clutching children, priests lifting hands in prayer. The sound is overwhelming, a storm of voices and steel. You stumble over bodies, your boots slick, your sword heavy. Everywhere you turn, you see blood. Men are cut down in doorways, women dragged into the streets, children trampled underfoot, houses burn, flames devouring timbers, roofs collapsing. The smell is choking, smoke, blood, sweat, fear. Your stomach twists, but you push on, because everyone does. Because to stop is to die. You glimpse the dome of the rock rising above the city, its golden roof gleaming even through the smoke. For a moment you falter, struck by its beauty, by the thought of where you stand, Jerusalem, the holy city. The dream of years, now within your grasp, but the dream is drowned in screams. The massacre has begun, and you are part of it. The breach widens like a wound in stone. Through the shattered gates and over the stormed walls, the Crusaders pour into Jerusalem. You are swept along with them, shoulder to shoulder in a tide of iron and blood. The streets are narrow, twisting, choked with smoke and screams. Arrows still hiss from rooftops, but they falter. The defenders know the walls are lost. Panic ripples through the city. You charge forward, sword raised, your boots pounding over cobblestones slick with blood. A group of timid soldiers bars the street ahead, shields braced, spears leveled. For a moment the clash holds their line tight, their voices fierce, but the weight of your comrades crashes into them. Shields smash, spears snap, bodies fall. You stab and slash, the press of men so tight you can barely swing. Blood spatters your face, the iron taste sharp on your lips. The line breaks, the defenders scatter, cut down as they run. The streets are chaos. Doors burst open as families flee, their cries shrill, their faces pale with terror. Some raise their hands in surrender, but the flood of Crusaders does not pause. Blades flash, throats are cut, bodies fall into the dust. You see women clutching children, dragged screaming into the alleys. Old men stumble, struck down without hesitation. The rage of 10 years, the hunger, the thirst, the fever of faith. All of it explodes here, in steel and fire. You stagger into a marketplace, its stalls overturned, its goods scattered, figs crushed into the dust, spices spilling like sand, bolts of cloth trampled underfoot. A mosque rises at the far side, its doors flung wide, people streaming in to pray. You hear their voices rising in Arabic, desperate, pleading. The Crusaders follow, their swords ready, their eyes alight with fury. You press forward with them, though your stomach knots. The doors are smashed, the floor is slick with blood within minutes. The cries echo long after the blades are sheathed. The heat grows unbearable. Fires leap from roof to roof, consuming timber, cracking stone. Smoke curls through the streets, choking, blinding. You cough, your lungs burning, your eyes stinging. Still, you march on. Still, you fight. Still, you kill. The dome of the rock rises nearer now, its golden roof gleaming through the haze. The Crusaders roar at the sight, their voices hoarse, their faces streaked with soot and blood. To them it is the prize, the symbol, the proof of victory. To the defenders, it is sanctuary. They flee toward it, but the Crusaders give no quarter. The plaza becomes a slaughterhouse, the stones running red, the air filled with screams. You stumble among the bodies, your sword heavy, your breath ragged. You see comrades laughing, shouting, lifting their blades high. Some fall to their knees, kissing the blood-soaked stones, crying Deus Vult over and over. Others loot, dragging treasures from houses, ripping jewelry from necks and wrists. Some burn, some kill, some pray. All are drunk on victory, or on rage, or on madness. Everywhere, the massacre spreads. Streets run red, courtyards choke with corpses, mosques and synagogues alike, filled with the dead. You see a synagogue burning, flames curling high, the cries of people trapped within piercing the sky. You turn away, bile rising in your throat, but the sound follows you, clinging to your ears. The city is no longer a city. It is chaos incarnate, a storm of steel and fire and blood. You are swept along, your sword swinging, your breath tearing, your eyes wide. You wonder if this is victory or damnation. But the flood does not stop. It surges forward, always forward, toward the holiest place of all. The holy sepulchre awaits, and you know the slaughter will follow you there. The streets choke with bodies as you push deeper into Jerusalem. Every corner reveals a fresh massacre. In one alley, you see Crusaders dragging terrified children by their arms, cutting down their fathers when they lunge to protect them. In another, women cling to each other in a doorway, wailing prayers as flames consume the house around them. The cries rise and fall like waves crashing endlessly, until they numb your ears. You step over corpses sprawled in heaps, their faces frozen in terror, their blood pooling across cobblestones. The heat of the July sun mixes with the stench of rot, sweat, smoke, and iron. Flies swarm thick, black clouds buzzing hungrily. You gag, but you keep moving, because the tide of men carries you forward. The Crusaders chant as they fight, their voices hoarse but fierce. Deus vult, Deus vult. The words ring like hammer blows, echoing off stone walls, rising above the screams. You shout with them until your throat tears, though you are no longer sure if you cry for faith or for fury. The defenders fight still, though broken and scattered. At St. Stephen's Gate, you clash with a knot of timid soldiers, their scimitars flashing, their eyes burning with desperate rage. The press is tight, shields slamming, swords clanging. You thrust forward, your blade slipping between ribs, hot blood soaking your hand. Another charges, and you parry, your arm shaking. Around you, the clash is savage, the screams, endless. One by one, the defenders fall, their bodies crumpling into the dust. Inside the city, sanctuaries collapse into slaughter. Mosques filled with praying families are stormed, the worshippers cut down on their knees. Synagogues ignite, their flames leaping high, their cries rising higher still. The Crusaders give no quarter. Priests march among the carnage, chanting psalms, lifting relics, declaring God's will fulfilled. Some soldiers weep as they kill, their tears streaking through soot, their mouths still whispering prayers. Others laugh, drunk on blood, their eyes wide and wild. The plaza before the Dome of the Rock becomes a river of death. The Crusaders flood into it, swords raised, shields braced. The defenders fall back, stumbling, bleeding, cut down in heaps. You wade through bodies, your boots slick, your sword heavy with gore. The dome gleams above you, golden even in the smoke, a beacon of beauty amid horror. But when its doors are breached, the beauty drowns in blood. The floors run red, the prayers turn to screams, and you are swept along inside, breath ragged, heart hammering. You kill because everyone kills. You shout because everyone shouts. You strike because to stop is to die. Yet deep inside, a voice whispers, "Is this holy? Is this salvation?" You crush it down, because there is no room for doubt. At last horns blare from every side. The gates are taken, the towers captured, the defenders slain or fled. The city is yours. Jerusalem has fallen. The massacre does not end. It spreads, rolling through every quarter, into every house, onto every rooftop. The Crusaders leave nothing untouched. Wealth is seized, women enslaved, children struck down. The gutters run with blood. Chroniclers will later claim the streets flow ankle-deep with it. And as you wade through, you know it is no exaggeration. At nightfall, the city still burns. Flames leap high, embers swirling in the dark. The cries fade, but the silence is worse. Only the crackle of fire, the groans of the dying, the shuffle of weary feet remain. You sink to your knees, your chest heaving, your sword slipping from your hand. You are too tired to pray, too tired to think. And yet, around you, men fall to their knees in joy. They kiss the ground, tears streaming, their voices lifting. Jerusalem is ours. God wills it. You whisper the words too, though your lips taste only of ash. The city has fallen, but salvation feels drowned in blood. The city is broken, its gates smashed, its towers smoking, its streets clogged with corpses. You move through it slowly now, no longer in the fury of battle, but in the heavy silence that follows. The sun burns overhead, turning the stones hot under your boots, baking the blood until it darkens, sticky and foul, flies swarm in clouds. The air is thick with the smell, iron, smoke, flesh. You gag, but you keep walking. The slaughter has not ended, though the walls are yours. Crusaders hunt through alleys, bursting into homes, dragging out survivors. Some kill at once, blades flashing, voices hoarse with deus vult. Others bind their captives, hauling them off as slaves. The cries are endless, women begging for mercy, children screaming, men pleading for their families. The voices blur together into a single sound of terror that will echo in your skull long after the city calls. You stumble into a courtyard where the ground is littered with bodies. Soldiers stand over them, laughing, their armor soaked dark. One sharpens his blade on a stone, though it hardly needs it. Another drinks from a wineskin, the liquid running down his chin, mingling with blood. They barely glance at you, their eyes wild, their smiles strange. Victory has unhinged them. In the Jewish quarter, the horror deepens. A synagogue stands ablaze, flames roaring from its roof. The air shimmers with heat, the cries of those trapped inside piercing the heavens. You hear them shouting prayers, their voices rising until they are drowned by fire. Some Crusaders cheer, others cross themselves, murmuring that the God of Israel is judged. You turn away, bile burning your throat, but the sound follows you, searing itself into your memory. Everywhere you turn, wealth is plundered. Houses are stripped bare, gold and silver stuffed into sacks, fabrics torn from wardrobes, jewels ripped from necks and wrists. Priests lift relics high amid the chaos, chanting psalms over the carnage, as if sanctifying it. You wonder if even they believe the words. At the Temple Mount, the massacre is at its fiercest. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, once filled with prayer, is choked with corpses. Chroniclers will claim the blood reaches to the knees, even to the bridles of horses. As you wade through, you believe it. The floor is slick, the stench choking, the sight unbearable. Men still strike down anyone who moves. Blades flashing, voices shrill with fury or frenzy. You cannot tell which. And yet, amid the carnage, you see comrades fall to their knees, tears streaming down their soot-streaked faces. They lift their hands to the heavens, crying, "Jerusalem is ours. The Lord has given us victory." Some crawl on hands and knees, kissing the blood-soaked stones, pressing their foreheads to the ground. Their joy is fierce, unshakable, blinding. You whisper the words too, though your lips tremble, though your chest feels hollow. Night falls at last, but the killing does not cease. Fires burn across the city, their glow lighting the sky red. The screams fade slowly, replaced by groans, by weeping, by the crackle of flames. The Crusaders feast on stolen food, drink stolen wine, laugh and boast beside heaps of dead. You sit apart, your sword still in your hand, though your arm trembles with exhaustion. You cannot eat, you cannot drink, your stomach twists too tightly. Jerusalem has fallen. The city of God is yours. But as you look at the streets slick with blood, at the towers glowing with fire, at the people lying silent in heaps, you wonder, if this is victory, what does defeat look like? And for the first time since you left home, you are afraid not of death, but of what victory has made of you. The smoke of burning houses curls through the sky, thick and dark, blotting out the stars. The city is silent now, save for the groans of the dying and the crackle of flames. The slaughter is done, though its echo lingers in every alley, every courtyard, every stone. You stumble onward, your boots sticking to cobblestones slick with dried blood. Word spreads that the king of this city, the Fatimid governor, has fled long before the final assault. The defenders who survived have either vanished into shadows or lie broken in the streets. There is no resistance left, only captives. You follow a stream of Crusaders toward the royal quarter. There, in the courtyard of a palace, the leaders gather. They stand tall, though their armor is dented, their faces streaked with grime. Raymond of Toulouse, Godfrey of Bouillon, Tancred and others, names already etched into this holy war. They speak of dividing the spoils, of who will hold the keys to Jerusalem. Their words are sharp, proud, even joyful. But your eyes drift to the captives kneeling nearby. Men with bound hands, their faces bruised and blank. Women clutching children, their eyes wide with fear. Priests and scholars, their robes torn, their voices silent. They are gathered like cattle, waiting for judgment. You hear whispers that some will be sold into slavery, others ransomed, if their families can pay. Many will simply vanish, their lives swallowed by conquest. You walk past them, and their eyes follow you. You do not meet their gaze. You cannot. At the Temple Mount, the true horror lingers. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is filled with bodies piled high, the stench choking, the sight unbearable. Chroniclers will later claim the blood reached the knees, even the bridles of horses. You waded through it earlier, and the memory still clings to you, heavy as chains. The stones themselves seem to weep, blackened by smoke, red with blood. Some Crusaders still revel here, their swords flashing as they drive stragglers from hiding. Others kneel in prayer amid the carnage, their voices trembling but fervent. You watch one knight drop to his knees beside a heap of corpses, lifting his hands to heaven. His tears stream freely as he whispers, "The Lord has given us the city." You cannot decide if he is blessed or broken. The city's leaders are dead, the soldiers slain, the people enslaved. Jerusalem is no longer theirs. It belongs to you now, though not to you personally, but to Christendom. That is what the priests proclaim, their voices ringing above the ruin. They say this victory redeems every hardship, every hunger, every death along the road. They say the souls of the fallen rejoice in heaven tonight. But as you stand among the ruins, you feel no triumph, only exhaustion, only sorrow, only a hollow ache, where joy should be. You whisper a prayer anyway, because prayer is all you have left. In the palace courtyard, the Crusader leaders argue long into the night. Who will wear the crown of Jerusalem? Who will rule this holy prize? Their voices rise, their faces tight, their pride sharp as their swords. You realize even here, even after rivers of blood, men hunger not only for God, but for power. You close your eyes, the noise fading. In the darkness behind your eyelids, you see not leaders or crowns, but faces, men you marched beside, now lying cold in foreign soil. Women screaming as flames devoured their homes, children silent in their mothers' arms. You wonder if their ghosts will linger here, forever bound to this city. The fall of Jerusalem is complete, but the cost has burned itself into your soul. The fighting is over, but the aftermath is worse. Jerusalem, the city of God, is now a graveyard. You move through its narrow streets slowly, the heat of July pressing down, the stench of blood and smoke rising in choking waves. Everywhere you look, the dead lie in heaps. Men, women, children, soldiers, priests. Their bodies are sprawled in doorways, slumped in courtyards, piled high in temples. Flies swarm so thick they seem like a living carpet. The survivors are gathered together in trembling groups, captives under the watchful eyes of Crusader guards. Women huddle with their children, whispering prayers in soft voices, their eyes wide with fear. Men kneel with their hands bound, their faces blank with shock. Some weep silently. Others stare at the ground as if their souls have already left them. You hear stories whispered in camp. Some women are claimed as slaves, dragged away by knights and soldiers. Children too young to work are slain outright. Families are torn apart, their cries piercing the night. Even among your comrades, Some avert their eyes, muttering that it is too much. Others boast of the spoils, their voices thick with greed. You find yourself in the Jewish quarter again, where the fires of the synagogue have burned down to blackened beams. The smell lingers. Charred wood, charred flesh. Survivors who tried to hide in the flames are gone, their prayers silenced. You stand in the ruins, your stomach tight, your throat dry, wondering if God truly willed this. At the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the horror lingers. Its halls, once filled with worship, now stink of blood. The Crusaders patrol among corpses, their swords dripping, their eyes hard. They claim it as their own now, a place of Christian worship. But the floors are still slick with the blood of those who prayed here yesterday. You kneel, pressing your forehead to the cold stone, but the only thing you feel is the chill of death. Everywhere, loot is gathered. Gold, silver, silks, spices, all dragged from houses, piled into wagons, divided among lords. What the sword could not claim, the fire consumes. Smoke still rises from rooftops, curling into the night sky like a black crown. The wealth of Jerusalem is stripped bare, the lives of its people shattered. The Crusader leaders gather in council, speaking of what comes next. Some argue for mercy, others for iron rule. But all agree on one thing: the city is theirs now, and its people are spoils. You stand at the edge of their council, listening, but their voices blur in your ears. You cannot stop seeing the faces of the captives, the hollow eyes of women, the trembling hands of children. That night, you walk alone through the streets. The fires glow red, the smoke drifts heavy, the silence broken only by the sobs of prisoners. You pass by a small group of women huddled together, their hands clutched tight, whispering prayers you cannot understand. One looks up at you, her eyes wide, her face streaked with soot and tears. For a moment your heart stumbles, you almost speak, almost reach out. But then you turn away, because what words could you offer in this place? The Crusaders say they have won eternal salvation. They say their sins are washed away in the blood of Jerusalem. You whisper the words too, but they taste like ash. The fate of the survivors is sealed. Slavery, exile, death. Their city is gone, their lives broken. And you, who came seeking redemption, wonder if you have only buried your soul under the ruins. Jerusalem is yours now, but at what cost? The city burns long into the night. Flames leap from roof to roof, sparks spiraling into the dark sky, smoke curling like a black crown over Jerusalem. You walk through streets lit by fire, the glow turning the stones red, the shadows dancing grotesque on the walls. The heat sears your skin, and the air tastes of ash and iron. Every breath fills your lungs with smoke. The sound is different now, not the clash of steel, not the screams of battle, but the hollow crack of timbers collapsing, the hiss of fire consuming cloth and thatch, the muffled sobs of survivors. The massacre has slowed, but it has not stopped. Here and there you still hear the sharp cry of a blade falling, the final gasp of someone cut down. But mostly, it is silence, the heavy silence of a city undone. You climb one of the towers to look out over it all. The view steals your breath. Jerusalem lies below you, glowing like a furnace, streets flickering with fire, plazas choked with smoke. The dome of the rock gleams dully through the haze, its golden roof scorched but still standing. Beyond it, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre rises dark against the sky, untouched for now. You whisper a prayer, though the words catch in your throat. Below, the Crusaders revel. Some sit in the ruins, drinking stolen wine, their laughter ringing sharp and hollow. Others stagger through the streets, dragging sacks of treasure, their arms loaded with silks, spices, chalices of gold. Still others kneel in prayer, their faces streaked with soot and blood, their voices hoarse as they cry Deus Vult over and over. The line between triumph and madness blurs until you can no longer tell them apart. You pass houses where families once lived, their doors broken, their floors blackened. In some the fires still burn, their smoke thick, their walls collapsing inward with groans. In others, silence reigns, The dead sprawled across thresholds as if guarding their homes even in death. You step carefully, your boots crunching on embers, your sword still in your hand, though no enemies remain. In the markets, treasures lie scattered, coins trampled into the dust, bolts of cloth soaked in blood, spices spilling fragrant into the ashes. Cats prowl, their eyes gleaming, licking at the edges of corpses. The world has been turned upside down, every sign of life twisted into death. The priests move through the city, their voices lifted in psalms. They proclaim victory, sanctify the bloodshed, declare that God has given Jerusalem into your hands. They say the slaughter was justice, the fire was cleansing, the suffering was holy. Some men believe with all their hearts, their faces shining with fervor. You whisper the words too, but they taste bitter, heavy, hollow. And yet, amid the fire and blood, you feel the weight of history pressing down. You know that what you are living will be told for centuries, that men will speak of this day, this conquest, this burning. They will call it triumph, or tragedy, or divine judgment. But you know it for what it is, a city in flames, its people scattered, its stones drenched in blood. The night deepens, the fires rage, and you realize Jerusalem will never be the same again. Dawn creeps over Jerusalem, pale light struggling through the smoke that still coils above the city. The fires have died down in many quarters, leaving behind blackened shells of houses, charred beams jutting like broken teeth, and streets littered with ash. You rise stiffly from where you slept, or rather collapsed, your armor sticky with blood and soot, your body aching from battle. The silence is heavier than the night before, broken only by the crackle of smouldering timbers and the caw of carrion birds circling overhead. The city is yours. That truth settles over the camp like a shroud. No more defenders on the walls, no more gates to storm, no more desperate resistance. But victory feels strange, hollow, sharp-edged. You wander through the streets with others, your boots crunching on rubble, the stench of decay in every breath. Corpses lie everywhere, some stacked, some sprawled where they fell, their blood dried into the dust. Women and children huddle in silence, captives guarded by weary Crusaders whose eyes are glazed with exhaustion. At the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the heart of the Holy City, Crusaders gather in throngs. They strip off blood-stained armor and fall to their knees, kissing the stones, weeping, lifting their arms to heaven. Some crawl on their bellies into the sacred place, sobbing with joy, their voices trembling as they pray. You follow them inside, your sword still in your hand, though your fingers tremble. The dim light filters through narrow windows, falling on altars, slick with wax and smoke. For a moment the chaos outside fades, and you feel a quiet stir in your chest. Here, you tell yourself, is why you came. Not for gold, not for blood, not for vengeance, but for this. To stand in the holiest of places, to touch the stones where Christ was laid. You kneel, your forehead pressed to cold marble, your lips moving with prayers you cannot hear over the roar of your own heartbeat. You whisper for forgiveness, for redemption, for meaning, but the words feel lost, swallowed by the silence of the dead outside. The leaders proclaim the kingdom of Jerusalem born that morning. Godfrey of Bouillon refuses the crown of a king, calling himself instead defender of the Holy Sepulchre. Trumpets sound, banners rise, and the Crusaders cheer, though their voices are hoarse. The priests declare this victory the greatest miracle since the resurrection. You want to cheer, to weep, to feel the weight of salvation. But when you leave the church, stepping again into the streets, you see only corpses, only ruins, only the eyes of captives staring blankly at their conquerors. You walk slowly back to camp, the light of dawn washing the city in gold. From the walls you can see the hills beyond, quiet and green, untouched by the fire that devoured Jerusalem. You breathe deeply, the air still heavy with smoke, and wonder if the world beyond these walls knows what has happened here. You wonder how they will tell it, whether as glory or as horror, whether as divine triumph or human madness. The city is in your hands now, but the blood will never wash away. The flames cool, the cries fade, and the city of Jerusalem lies still. Its walls, once bristling with defenders, stand silent now. Its streets, once filled with prayers and merchants and children at play, are heavy with ash and memory. The smoke drifts higher, thinning into the sky, until only faint wisps remain. You breathe slower now. The clash of swords, the roar of fire, the pounding of your heart, all fade into quiet. What remains is the stone beneath your feet, steady, ancient, holding stories far older than you. The voices of the dead no longer scream. They whisper soft and distant, carried on the wind. The blood dries, the fires dim. The holy city rests in uneasy peace. You step carefully through its ruins, your body sinking into weariness, your mind quieting. The weight of the sword eases from your hand. The weight of your breath eases from your chest. You look up at the sky. The smoke has thinned enough that stars peek through again, faint but steady, glimmering above the ruins. They shine as they always have, as they always will, far removed from the struggles of men. Their calm light soothes, cool against the heat of the day, and so you let the noise slip away. You let the blood and fire fade into shadow. You let the city fall silent in your memory. You are no longer in Jerusalem. You are here now, safe, your breath slowing, your body sinking deeper into rest. The story has ended, the holy city has burned, and its fate is sealed. But your eyes grow heavy, your heart grows still, and the night carries you gently away. Good night. Sweet dreams.